showing up at all for this book and that so many people are excited for it. So I'm feeling good, but also it feels like I've been like just talking about, oh, it comes out in a year or it comes out in 6 months, and now it's out. It's officially out.
Okay, so that kind of leads to my first question I want to ask. That's like kind of fun. So I feel like all of us have kind of watched your journey, and I feel like your journey has been like full of really big moments, right? Like we got Good Morning America just yesterday. You constantly selling out at Target, selling out Barnes and Noble online, selling out a lot of places, and I guess the question is what is of all the big moments? Has been the most memorable moment so far?
I mean, obviously the video, like the initial viral video, so that was posted in like March of 2021, and I was on submission with my book. Like I was on my third agent. I had 2 books out, but they didn't sell very well during the pandemic, like a handful of copies. And so I wasn't necessarily in the best position to sell another book because publishers look at your like track record and how many copies you've sold, and I had already been rejected like so long and like so many young adult books, but I really wanted to put out a YA. Like that's like my favorite genre. I love it so much. And I got so many rejections, even having a book that like won awards and was critically acclaimed and got the starred reviews. Like, didn't really matter trying to get this book published. I got so many agent rejections, and then we went out to publishers, and like finally I found an agent that was passionate about it, and like over 16 publishers rejected it. And it really, like, the feedback I got was, we really like it, but we don't think there's a market for it. And we kind of forget, like, publishing is a business, and so they truly were just like, the market is so saturated, we don't think anyone would buy it. And so it was really hard to hear that, because I thought, like, okay, I'd written this book that people like, but they just don't want to buy it because they don't believe that it will sell. And so that's when I made the video, and it changed my life, like, for many different reasons. And I got really lucky. Like, who knows what the TikTok algorithm is, but within 5 hours it had like 1,000 views, which is, it was not a lot of views, and like 5 comments. And so I almost deleted it because I was like, I'm really proving to publishing no one wants this book. Truly, like, oh wow, like an example, literally no one wants it. But I left it up because I felt really hopeless in that moment. Like, I could not do anything myself to get this book published. I was like relying on these gatekeepers in publishing. But I left it up, and the next morning I was in a parking lot, and I just like looked at my phone, and it had like over 1 million views, had thousands of comments, so many people so excited. I don't know like how many of you originally saw that video, but I've gotten messages from people that were like, I saw it when I had 200 likes, and that's so special because you literally have seen everything, like every single part of this journey. And a week or 2 later, it went to auction and it sold. And luckily, my amazing publisher was interested before, like they liked it, but they didn't really have a case to buy it. So again, it's a business. They had to go to like all the executives and the business people and say, like, this person who didn't sell a lot of books of her other books, how are we gonna like make this happen? And so that book with so many people interested, or sorry, that video with so many people interested really was kind of proof. People do want to read this, and that was the market validation I needed to sell this book. And just ever since, it's been such a wild ride. And I tried to really like document every single part, from the cover reveal and like choosing the cover to the movie news and Good Morning America. Every single part of this, like, I've tried to share because I feel really grateful. It was so much luck involved with that video. I truly don't know how it went by. I don't. It was just luck. That was the best moment, the video.
No, so actually, you actually answered the next question, was about like the journey of publishing and the process, because I think Alex and I talk about this a lot. Is if things on the outside, they appear that success happens overnight, and I think a lot of people, when they look at even both of us, is like, this happened because this is my first book. Sam was the first book that came out, and well, I don't know, like I kind of get that too, where it's like people constantly like, oh wow, this happened so fast, but the reality is, like, for both of us, it took a very long time. We've both written books that went nowhere. Sam was actually my second book, and Sam faced a lot of rejections too. Sam, oh my God, I probably like racked up over 100 agent rejections over the course of like a few years. And then I went back to school, and then I rewrote Sam again. And then I eventually got one agent, and out of like the 14 editors, we actually were talking about this right before you guys came in. The 14 editors that we submitted to, only 2 actually wanted it. And it was actually it wasn't a big splashy deal at all. For me, it wasn't. It was not a lot of money. And actually, like, when the book actually came out, my publisher was shocked at how well it did. And we had sold out which was an amazing thing.
Yeah.
We sold out, but like it's also because they didn't print that much. And today we're like at 9 months on the New York Times bestseller list.
Yeah, today officially. So
like on the surface, like you guys, I guess you guys don't see what like the long journey that we go through, and it does, and yeah. But anyway.
And we like to talk about it, and we think that
Yeah.
people should talk about it more, because we both would hate for someone to say like, oh, I wrote a book and I went and got 5 rejections, guess I'm not good enough. Like, no, every single author you know, every single author you've ever heard of in your life has gotten so many rejections. It's the truth, and I didn't know that. So for the first few years I was doing this, I was like, no one wants to publish me, it's something wrong with me, like, it's me. And no, it's everyone. Every single person gets rejections, everyone. And I think people should talk about it more, because like I didn't know that about Dustin until he told me today that this book that has been massively successful, like to stay on the list for 9 months is really hard. Like only a handful of books in history have done that, and he was rejected by almost every publisher too. So please, like if you are querying too, like I know what that's like. If you're still getting rejections, like just work on the next book.
Okay, so I want to ask this question. So I asked you about out of all the big moments that's happened, what's most memorable.
Yeah.
But following that, I want to ask you about all of the little moments.
Yeah.
And I want you to, are there any kind of small moments that are equally as significant? And I can kind of answer that first, give you time.
Okay.
Because I kind of thought about this myself. It's
Okay.
like one of my favorite, I guess, moments that like mean something to me is with You've Reached Sam. Some of the things I noticed with like my readers is they like to make You've Reached Sam playlists. And a lot of them, they will post it on, it's through Spotify, but they'll occasionally post it on Twitter. And what I think is sweet and funny is like, I don't think they'll ever know that like every now and then I will go on Twitter and search You've Reached Sam playlist. And I know they don't get any, it's like usually smaller accounts, and they probably don't know that like, they probably think like no one's ever gonna look at this playlist, so it's probably me with the author. And I think it's a sweet thing that they probably don't know, but like if you ever done that, I probably looked at it. And so if you do that now, like I will probably look at it next week. So that's something
Dustin really wants a bunch of playlists. Like,
I love sad songs, I love ballads, so like I get recommendations through those playlists.
That's really cute. I think like a recent moment was I get a lot of DMs, and they're like really nice, and that truly like makes me feel good about like doing this. Is I get a lot of DMs that are like, you inspire me, or and at first you're like, why? Like I make so many mistakes, and I don't know what I'm doing, but I guess like talking about these rejections and stuff, like it means a lot to me that people take time to message me. And up until now, like I have tried to respond to every single message. Now after Good Morning America, I literally have hundreds of DMs, so I don't know if I can do that anymore, but maybe it's like just a one-day thing. But something that was special is I looked at my like requested DMs, and it was just like all of my characters like requesting to talk to me. Like someone had made accounts for every single like of the 6 rulers in Lightlark, and Isla, the main character, had messaged me and said, "Hi, I have an Instagram now." And I thought that was so funny. Like,
that's so sweet.
it was really cute. And then if you go to their pages, they only follow each other.
Oh yeah.
So I just thought that was so cute. Like that anyone would take the time to do that. It just means a lot. Like because we create these worlds, and we don't know how other people are going to interact with them. And ultimately, once we publish, they're yours. Like it doesn't belong to us anymore. And so I just think it's really special to see things like that. But little moments too, just like, I guess, like selling different languages. There are so many parts of these process I was really naive about, because my other books just didn't do well. So my other books, they're doing better now, like that I have like more of a following and people are discovering it. And like books sometimes have like a long life, like sometimes people discover them later on, but for the first year it sold like nothing, because all the bookstores were closed for a while, and then when they reopened they were only ordering like people that people knew, especially like the big retailers. And so it was really special to see that like retailers were actually ordering my book, and like stuff like the fact that the other books didn't sell any foreign language deals. Like I didn't know that was a thing. I was naive to that fact, like that is actually a pretty big part of the industry. I didn't know that happened like before a book came out. And so when my like foreign rights agent messaged me, I was like, oh yeah, this language is like interested in buying your rights. I was like, does this even happen? I didn't know that because there was like truly no one was interested in the other book. So there are so many pieces of this where I really feel like I just got dropped into this industry, even though I've been trying to be in it for so long, because I just didn't know how things worked. And so now like Lightlark has sold in like over a dozen languages, and these are each like individual deals. They're like, now I have like 13 publishers around the world, and you don't think about it because I just didn't know this happened. Like, I guess it happened to other people, and like I know that you've sold a bunch of languages, but it had never happened to me. And so those little moments of being like, what? Like, this happens to people, and it's happening to me. And then obviously the movie deal and stuff, those were little moments that like just showed how little I knew, but also were really special because when you go from, I've seen the experience of having a book that my advance was like less than $10,000 a book before. Like, I've seen that, like, that, and then this is just such a big difference that it makes you appreciate every single thing, because I know what it's like not to have any foreign language deals. I know what it's like to have the smallest advance any of my friends have ever heard of. Like, I know what that's like. So, like, this is just a different experience, and so I appreciate every single part of it because I know what it's like to not have it, and for years. Like, my first book came out 2 years ago, so I've been doing this, like, and then before that, I was trying to get published for so long. So yeah, I definitely appreciate all the little things, and there are little things now that even like when I get invited like to a festival or something, I'm like, really? Like, why do they want me? Like, cause you live for. I've been like not published and like failed for way longer than this like 1 year of amazing things. So it really like hasn't sunk in, and I don't know if you feel similarly like that now, like.
Like, it hasn't sunk in?
Yeah, like, do you still feel like that writer who's still trying to, like, do anything you can to get published, or do you feel comfortable and, like, okay, I can breathe again?
I can breathe.
Yeah. After 9 months, yeah, on the bestseller.
It's almost a year, guys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm, like, really relaxed.
I'm not. So,
your book came out yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you can possibly
it's true,
relax.
it feels like such a long time ago. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
my hands down.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna talk about Lightlark next, but before that, I didn't want to ask a question. I was gonna ask at the beginning, but like, I'm sure people are curious. I want you to answer it. How did we meet, and when, and do you remember it?
Oh God, yeah. Well, thanks.
I think people want to know.
Oh, great. Okay. I hope we didn't actually meet another time, and I just don't remember. But we met through Chloe Gong, is our mutual friend. Chloe and I met because we both went to the same college, like a couple of years apart, but we both went to the same college, and we met before either of our books came out. Like, obviously, These Violent Delights, like Our Violent Ends, Foul Lady Fortune, like huge books, like Dustin's book. But we met before, like, she even had a book, and so it's been really cool to see her journey. And then, so we've been friends for a while now, like years, and then we met through Chloe.
This is how we met.
Dustin, what? Why would you do this to me? It's fine. I want to hear what.
We met at a brunch, and it was Adam was visiting from New York, so we had a mutual friend. You don't remember this?
Of
So
course I remember.
we're mutually friends with Adam Silvera.
Yeah.
And,
Chloe was also there. Don't like discredit me.
Hold on.
Okay.
So Adam was in town, and he like promised like meet a bunch of people, of course. So he's kind of like, okay, let's just do it all at once.
Yeah.
And then he just created like a group chat with an Instagram, and then put us together.
Yeah.
And then we weren't even following each other at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so he's like, guys, do you want to go to brunch? And then we all were like, yes, let's all meet. And then Alex follows me, and I follow her back, and we met at brunch. And then
I remember.
yeah, and then.
What are you gonna say?
And then I think, was it that day where afterwards, like, Adam had to leave because he was doing something.
Yeah.
And then Chloe had to leave, and then we were in Barnes and Noble, and then we're like, do you want to get coffee?
Yeah, when we sat and talked
and then
for
so
like
just
5 hours.
us two, yeah. And then so we kind of bonded.
Yeah, but also part of that is that I didn't know. Yes, of course I remember Dustin. That was like 6 months ago. I don't have like amnesia. But yeah, we met at that brunch. But I obviously am always filming for TikTok, like just every single thing. And Dustin now knows this because we both came from New York, and I have filmed 20,000 videos I'll probably never post, right? With like various cameras, various things. Yeah, so I'm annoying, but that's like what it takes, like to do the videos. But as soon as he walked in, like we didn't know each other, and I was just like filming him like entering, and I was like, no, do it again, like that was not good. And he's just like, who are you? And I'm like, no, again. And I posted that video. It's like the video of the three of us having brunch and like going to Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, Dustin, make a TikTok. But Dustin has a TikTok, and I just posted a video and I tagged his account in it, so he does have a TikTok, and you should.
No promises. It'll be used. Guys.
Yeah, it will be used. Yeah. But yeah, that's how we met, and I think a lot of authors that you see, like I used to see authors that were friends. I'm like, how did they become friends? It's truly just like you know one person, and then they're friends. Like.
Also, we learned that we live so close to each other.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And we bond over the fact that like we truly still have no idea what we're doing for writing. Like we have a weekly check-in on Friday where it's like
really,
yeah, you're like how many
of
words have you written? It's like
0.
None. And then
Zero.
And then we talk about something else. But yeah, that's how we're friends. Like we can.
So that's the story, guys. If you're curious.
Yeah.
So we're gonna want to Lightlark, of course, which you're all here and you're all holding. Are you guys all holding it?
Oh
and
really?
Pins? Yay.
Cool. Lots of Lightlark.
Yeah, my question. Okay. Oh, so I know you guys haven't read it yet because it just came out yesterday, but I was lucky to read it last month. Yeah, I actually I forced her because I saw you had posted about arcs and I like DM'd and I said, send it to me.
Yeah.
And then we went and we got breakfast together.
Yeah.
And then I was like, where is it?
And I filmed that too. I just never posted
Yeah.
like handing it to him. Yeah.
Sometimes we just like film for fun and then we post it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we meet in Barnes and Noble. This is like a little funny tidbit, but like obviously Dustin's book is extremely successful, so like I can say this and hopefully he doesn't feel bad. But every time we go to Barnes and Noble, we'll like watch the TikTok table, and every single time without fail, someone will pick You've Read Sam up, look at it, go, and put it back down right in front of
They
him.
make a face.
But every single time, and Chloe and I die laughing, and Dustin and I have a video of it, but that was just one time. It's happened multiple times. Every time we go, every time.
They do not make that face.
He has lived up to be on the New York Times bestseller list for 9 months. So I don't really care, but like truly every single time it happens, and Chloe and I are all like, okay, that's cool. Yeah.
We're talking about Lightlark now. So I love the book. It's really one of those books that you read so fast. I read it in 2 days, and it usually takes me like a week. And I think what you do so well. Well, first of all, what like Lightlark, I feel like you guys probably know is known for, or like the plot twist.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I was reading it while my friend was studying, while doing like work, and then like during that night, he would just be as a Peter, and I was just like, oh my god, and he would turn around, what, and then be like, how could he do that? Do what? And then that was the entire night. And it's just one of those things where it's like, because I came in knowing like, no, you're not gonna, like, I'm gonna know what's going on. So, but like one of the great things that Alex does is, because it's the story, you guys know the pitch, but it takes place, it has 6 realms, and each ruler there are rulers that represent each realm, and I think you do an incredible job with making them incredibly distinct. And the realm that is represented tonight, I think you guys call all the memo. Or who here is dressed up a little? Can we see the silver? We would love to see
glitter!
it.
Yeah. You're so starling. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're very starling. Oh, I love that. Yeah, just something silver. But we have gifts too, and they're silver. So don't worry if you're not wearing silver yet.
So with Starling, the realm that was represented tonight, represented also, their color is silver, is the ruler there is Celeste.
Yeah.
And she's actually my favorite character. So
read it and see what that says about Dustin.
So also one of my favorite parts about reading this book, but my favorite parts that I would get to learn are, as you guys probably know from like the synopsis, is like there are the mention of curses, right? And it's not until you read them until you learn the 6 unique curses that each realm has. And that's something I'm always excited to discuss and talk about. And you learn that some are worse than others. So unfortunately, guys, in the realm of Starling, we have the worst curse. And we are cursed to basically die at the age of 25.
Dustin and I are dead.
Yeah. Oh, can I see who would still be alive? Oh, okay.
For a couple more weeks. You have 2 weeks to live.
Okay. So, I thought we talked about this earlier over lunch. I want to talk about the other 5 curses.
Yeah.
And which one of them, Isla, comes from Wildling. And her curse is you are forced to kill the person you fall in love with. So in that realm, basically, can you describe it a little? Like how do you actually survive in a realm like that?
So you survive by killing the people you love or not falling in love at all, and so it becomes like they're like a warrior culture. It's almost like in Wonder Woman, like the woman warrior. So like there are men, but like there's less of them. It's just like always like women, like they just did not fall in love and they just kind of became like this like woman warrior culture. And so it's like Isla is taught she can't love anyone, like it's a weakness if you fall in love, and she has this backstory that kind of proves that with like her mom and what happened to her. And so I kind of wanted to turn in every realm everyone's strengths into like a poison. So like the Wilding realm, like they loved freely and they had such a loving like civilization before, and then now they're forced to kill anyone they fall in love with. And they also have to eat hearts, like that's how they survive, which is more gruesome now. Like hearing people talk about it and stuff, I'm like, oh, that's like kind of like gross, but yeah, it's I wasn't thinking about it like that. Yeah, but they have to subside off of heart, so they like become these like ruthless killers. Like that is their curse.
Can you go over the other curses?
Yeah. So Starling, the worst. Yeah, a lot of us are dead. It's fine. They all die at 25, and so their realm is like they're all young. And Celeste is one of the youngest rulers. Obviously, she's like about to turn 25, so she really needs to break her curse, or she dies. Like because the way the Centennial works is every 100 years there's another chance. So no one has ever broken the curses before. So they're on the 5th chance for them all to break them. But Celeste will die if they don't break them. So she has like another motive to like really win this Centennial, but she doesn't have any guidance because no one in her realm is older than her. She's like the oldest person, and when you're in a realm like that, you just your powers are weaker. You don't know how to use them. In everyone else's realms, they're basically they can live forever, and so they have like a lot of advantages over Celeste. And I'm probably not spoiling it too much that because it gets revealed in like 10 pages, but Celeste and Isla are friends, and they know each other, and they've been working together, and so and they have like a really cute friendship that like, speaking of you yelling when you're like reading the book, Chloe was reading it and she was like messaging me, she's like, I love Celeste and Isla. Yeah, it's like kind of like me and Chloe a little bit, but so it's they have a pretty bad curse just because not only for them personally, but their whole realm is like pretty weak because no one has lived longer than 25. Nightshade has Grimm, which a lot of people really like, and the few people who have read it, I'm really curious if you like Grimm. Yeah, Grimm? Do you like Grimm? A lot of people do, including Chloe and a lot of other people, and I have to ask you, but their curse is their nightshade, and so they have like night powers and shadows, and they're stronger at night, but their curse is they can never go outside during night, so they're not as powerful, and they're stuck inside like during the nighttime. And then Sunling is the opposite, and Oro is the ruler of that realm, the other love interest, and so he can't go outside during the day, so it's like the opposite, so he's weaker. And then we have Skyling, and they used to all be able to fly, and that was like a big thing for them, and now they can't. Obviously that's one of the lesser curses, just because they can't fly doesn't mean it's like killing anyone, but Azul is the ruler of that realm. And then Moonling is a water realm. They control water and ice, and Cleo is the ruler of that realm. And their curse is every full moon, a bunch of their people die. Like they drown in some way, so their realm has gotten smaller and smaller. And am I missing anyone?
That's all.
I think that's all of them. Yeah, those are.
Okay. Keeping with talking about the realms, I'm gonna ask this question because Alice's publicist, Haley, who's back there. Can you wait? She has this question written because she gave me a list of questions. She's like, are you gonna ask any of them? I said no. But I kept more. And she's like, that's the one I wanted. So her question is, since we're celebrating the realm of Starling, right? Can you talk to us about what is your favorite quality about them and Celeste?
I actually love Starling. Like that's the realm I would choose if I would not immediately die. Like I would want to be Starling because I love stars. Like I love the shape of stars. I love silver and like glittery stuff. I like that their realm like on Lightlark is like basically all silver, and like a lot of them like Celeste have like silver hair, and I just think it's so cool. So I think my favorite part is I really like Celeste. Like her personality traits and everything are like she's kind of like straight to the point, and she tells Isla things that she maybe doesn't want to hear, like don't trust Grimm, maybe she shouldn't be with Grimm, like things like that. So I think I just really like her versus like a quality of the realm, but I also like their power. So they have the power of like the stars, like energy, and so they can like make things like burst, and they can like make things like what is it called? Like what's that called? The superpower you can make things move. It has a special telekinesis. Yeah, like that kind of power. And so I just think that that would be really useful. And really powerful ones can make like star swords where like they appear and they're like sparks. And yeah, I think that would be really cool.
Okay. So when I saw the list of questions, I saw that one. I altered it. And I said, so like thinking about the Starling realm.
Yeah.
Can you think of a Taylor Swift song that best encapsulates it?
Is there one about dying really young?
Oh, yes.
Is there? Which one?
Ronan, right, guys?
Oh.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay, Last Kiss. That one could work too.
I just like, yeah, Last Kiss or anything that's like tragic, like that just is sad.
Sad, beautiful,
like,
tragic
yeah.
works too.
Speaking of Taylor Swift songs, though, I did write the entirety of Lightlark in a loop of Champagne Problems because, yeah, I live with my fiance, and like he was like work from home, and he was on meetings every single day, and we were in this little room like working together, and I was literally going to like tear my hair out because I couldn't hear myself think, and so I had to, for the first time ever, write listening to music. And so I just like I can't write listening to other things I need to like pay attention to, but when you listen to the same song, it almost just becomes like white noise. So I did that, and it's Champagne Problems by Taylor Swift, and I think it kind of, if you listen to it after you read it, you might understand like the tone of it. Yeah, you're nodding. Yeah, I hope so. I really love that song, and so every time I listen to it, it's like nostalgic for me because I was writing Lightlark right when that like came out.
When you think about like thinking back to like when you wrote Lightlark, is there a location that do you remember most that you spent your time writing it? Because like thinking about that now, for me, it was actually my grandma's house when I lived in California, on a specific part of the couch. And every time I visit my grandma, she says, she acknowledges, she's like, this is where you sat when you wrote it. And I said, yeah.
That's really
And then so do you have a place?
Honestly, just my desk in my apartment, like, and like it's more like not a place but a time, like the pandemic. I was like stuck inside, and like again the constant meetings in the background, because I love coffee shops. Like I love to go work like somewhere else. I didn't do that during the pandemic, so it was just kind of isolating, but also nice. And I wrote really late at night and really early in the morning, and just felt kind of like quiet, and like with Champagne Problems like running through my head and everything. So yeah, I wish I did have like a more special place than literally like my desk. But yeah, and also like sometimes just like I would like bring my laptop in bed, which is like really bad for your back. But that's like how I edited all of Lightlark, and so I'm gonna have like back problems in 10 years. But yeah.
Actually, since we're back on the pandemic, I see that I do have a question.
Okay.
I wrote, because yeah, people kind of forget just because the pandemic kind of like things kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
So your first two book came out during the pandemic, and you didn't have any events, of course, because everything's inside.
Yeah.
I guess the question was, if you, I guess what I wrote was.
Can you read your own horrible handwriting?
What would you say to yourself now?
Oh, like
you back then, like two years ago, like I'm talking about like your first book.
Yeah.
That week your first book came out. Your debut, when you a debut.
Yeah. So I'll like be honest. Right before it came out, like I've said this before, but it is literally true. I had a different agent than I did now, and I believed so much in Lightlark. I loved it so much. It truly was like the book of my heart, and it was a different book than it is now. But it was the same world, same characters, And the agent I had, like for 2 years, I was sending different versions of Lightlark, and every time I was like, no, this is not gonna sell, no. And finally, like, I get it. I don't really feel that bitter because like I understand she just didn't like it, and I kept like bringing it just like in slightly different packaging. And she dropped me right before my first book came out. And so it felt really sad because I've been working for such a long time just to get an agent and then just to get a book deal. And then finally it happens, and like everything goes wrong, you know, like it's the pandemic, all the bookstores are closed, like all of this, and then your agent like drops you. And so I was like back to like a teenage me when I was writing these books and had no agent. Like I literally didn't have an agent when my first book came out. I didn't have an agent when I was writing this book. And having an agent is like the most important part about traditionally publishing, because like you can't really get a traditional publishing deal without one. And so I felt really, really low. And I remember, I don't think I've talked about this before, but like I was like obviously crying, and I took a picture of myself crying because I told myself like the only way I'm gonna be able to like write this book without having an agent, without having sales, knowing this book isn't gonna do that well because it's during the pandemic, is like I promised myself one day I will look at this picture and be like, this was the best thing that could have happened. Like I just promised myself that, and I just believed it for some reason. And so, and I can 100% say it was the best thing that could have happened because it gave me the strength of like, I'm gonna prove them wrong. And so I rewrote the book completely without an agent again. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, it's really like it had failed so long. Like, I really don't know what I was thinking, but I did it. I did find an agent, and like just everything that has happened so far, even with these rejections, like I can trace it, that like everything happened perfectly. Like I'm so happy with how everything happened, but in the moment, like that girl that was like crying, like sobbing in that picture, like she didn't know it. And so like more than just like my book coming out during the pandemic, like I want to tell her like you did it, like it actually worked, like you did do what you said you were gonna do when you like took that picture, which meant like prove them wrong and like make this the best thing that could have happened, and it really was. So if you're like in a low spot, please, like it will get better. You just have to keep trying and believing in yourself, because like it just takes one person to believe in you in this business. Really, like it took one publisher to believe in his book. It took one publisher to believe in mine, one agent, like just takes one person. And truly, even if every single other person rejects you, doesn't mean it's not gonna do well. Like from Dustin and from me, like it doesn't mean that. You just need one person, and sometimes there isn't that one person. And that happened to me for many books that never sold, like, but sometimes there is, and that's all you need. You don't need 100 people wanting you. You don't need every publisher bidding. You don't. You just need one person.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a firm believer of like things happen for a reason, you know, even if it doesn't feel like that way in the moment. And another thing that I want to say about, you're talking about like switching agents and stuff, is sometimes like I'm sure we have a lot of writers out there, and who are eventually going to query and go on submission. Sometimes it's not even about like who is the biggest agent. It's what's one of the most important things that you're going to learn is it's about who do you share a vision with. And because oftentimes people, we like different things, right? Reading and what we like is all subjective. And I remember during my rejection process, I would get a lot of notes, a lot of like rejection and feedback that says like, wow, like I liked your book, but your character is so rude, right? And I was like, oh, I don't think she's rude. She reminds me of my sister. And then, and eventually, like, when I eventually got an offer, I got 3, and it happened to be 3 people who understood where my characters were all coming from, and but then it came down to visions of like where this book was even going, and there were like changes to the book, big changes to the book, and then there's one that I thought I wanted. And then the changes that she had in mind were not what I would ever thought, you know? And then ultimately you're gonna have to make a decision based off a vision. And then it's gonna go to submission. And then you're gonna see everyone else has different vision for the book too. And you make decisions based off a vision. And also during the submission process, submission is like when you go to editors and publishing houses and like to see if they want your book. And a lot of the rejections too were like, wow, we like the book, but like the character is so mean. And then, but ultimately the one that I ended up going with at Wednesday Books, she completely understood like the characters and understood the main character, understood Julie, and she, was like, I would never change her at all. And and that's like part of the decision making process.
It is so subjective. Like you will on submission, you'll get an editor that says like, again, like the character was so mean, and the other one, she's not mean enough. Like it's almost laughable, like the way you get feedback, and it's the exact opposite. And so you realize, okay, it's just opinions. Like
yeah.
Another question?
Yes. Are we good on time?
Good.
Okay.
Because we're gonna take audience questions.
Yes. I do have one question. It's like my favorite question.
Okay.
But like, I want to show you had questions for me because that's what I got.
I do, but do you want to ask your favorite question first?
Yeah.
Because I'm curious.
Okay, so this is a fun question, and it circles back to Taylor Swift.
Okay, go. Yeah.
So so this is actually my second event that like I was a conversation partner for, and this I asked the same question, and I wanted to ask it again, and it actually comes from, this was a couple of years ago. I was watching an interview with Taylor Swift, and it was probably one of those listening parties, and I try to find it. I keep trying to find it on YouTube, but I just can't. But I remember it very well. And it was through the audience, and someone had said it was for, which, I think it was correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 1989 listening party. And then someone had asked a question in the audience and said, okay, if you were to forget the entire album, you like have it erased from your memory, but you can only keep and remember one song, what would it be? And then Taylor like was kind of thrown off. I'm like, wow, that's an interesting and good question. And she thought about it, and she said, Clean. Is that the right album?
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. So I'm gonna like ask you a similar type of question. So if you were to erase all of Lightlark from your memory, but you were allowed to keep one scene, what would it be?
That's a really good question, Dustin. I think if I said it, it would be a spoiler, but it's one of the plot twists at the end. The one that I think is the biggest plot twist, it makes you read the entire book differently. And that's what I would keep, but I don't want to say anything else because I will definitely. Do you know what? Okay, yes, good. Just remember those words when you're reading. It's my favorite part, and it's the one I get like the all caps, like why? How could you do this? Like text about So from Chloe, that's a great question.
When I asked that question, I actually never even thought to answer it myself. And then when Tashi answered it, and then she explained her answer, and I said, that's such an interesting way to answer it. Because when she picked her scene, and I said, why'd you pick that scene? She says, well, I wanted to pick something that, she says, well, at first I thought to pick something that would encapsulate it, but then I changed my mind. Because if I had to remember something, I would want to remember something that was the heart of the book, where I could build back and rewrite the whole book based off of that. And I thought about it, and I was like, oh, that's a really good answer. And I said, I guess that for me, there's only one scene, and it was the first phone call when Sam picks up the phone, because that's the whole premise of the book, and that's where the book begins.
Yeah.
And if I remember that, I feel like I could rebuild and rewrite the entire book. So
yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't happen to either of us.
Yeah. Amnesia.
Okay, I do have questions. My first question is, because I feel like probably all of us in this room are like, and so we know that Dustin's book blew up on TikTok, and he talked a little bit about how his publisher didn't print enough copies. Like, they did not think it was going to be as successful as it is, and like for such a long time. So what was the moment you found out it went viral on TikTok?
Okay, so I had a TikTok, but I wasn't really using it, and I definitely wasn't on Book Talk. And how I knew was my publisher told me, and they said, Dustin, it's the week it came out, somehow, like, I had seen a couple videos here and there that were sent to me, and I did, like, obviously go and search and see, was anyone talking about it? And then one day, like, my publisher, just a couple days after the book came out, this Dustin, like, the book blew up and you have over 10 million views. And then initially, I just thought, wow, my publisher's amazing. Like, they did that. And then and then we hit the New York Times in the first week at number 2, and they're like, Dustin, like, I live in New York, please come to the office. And then I was like, oh yeah, I get to meet the team for the first time, because it was this is also like towards the, we're still in the pandemic, but like it's last November, so like things were like, okay, we were allowed to see each other. So like I sat with marketing, I sat with my editor, and I got to see everyone for the first time. And then they're like, congratulations, this is huge. I said, well, and then like, you have any questions? I said, yeah, about TikTok, like this TikTok thing, like how did you guys do that? Like, thank you so much. And then they're like, Dustin, we have no idea. And then like we had nothing to do with that. And then I was like, what do you mean? And then they're like, we don't know. And then it's kind of like, the thing about like TikTok and publishing is like, the reality is like, it's kind of like, publishing as much money they have no control over TikTok, and it's kind of like this loss of authority, and that they're constantly trying to capture and recreate, and which is very hard to do because TikTok is kind of like its own world and like weird. And I know obviously less than Alex about TikTok, but yeah, so it's kind of like a big surprise for my publisher and a big surprise to me, and I don't know.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone always wants to know about cover designs. Like that's one of the biggest questions I get. Like, did you get to choose your cover? Did you get to? And the answer for me is the first 2 books, no one even asked me. Like, it just showed up in my inbox. I asked for a little tweak and it was denied. So I had zero power over my 2 covers. So that's why for this contract, I had in there that I had to be involved with the cover. And that's what you have to do if you want to be involved with the cover. It has to be in the contract. But yeah, so I was very involved with this cover, and so were all of you. If you voted on TikTok, literally you decided the cover between the 2 covers. But I want to ask you, Dustin, did you get it fully formed? Did you have any say? Okay. Do you like the cover?
First of all, I think I have one of the best covers, especially of last year.
Yeah,
we have great covers.
I mean, you're definitely biased, but yes.
Yes, I love my cover a lot, and I like to believe that I had some influence in it. I think I'm pretty sure I did. So what happens is like they will tell you, and it's also in contract, like, oh, you would get like say and like what the cover looks like, but the reality is like it also like is meaningless, right? But then you'll learn like every publisher is different, and every publisher has different reputations.
Yeah.
And that's something like you learn like some publishers are just terrible, right? They just like anyway. I'm very lucky. Wednesday has a great reputation, and they do listen to what we have to say. And so I kind of created, I just gathered photos, and at the time, like I really loved the film Your Name, if any of you guys have seen that. And I just like took screenshots, and I took things that kind of looked like Your Name, and I put them into a folder, and I sent it to my editor, who ultimately sent it to the art director. And I felt like it was going to a void, right? I was like, this is going to a void, no one's going to listen. And then one day, like I remember, like it was like 8 in the morning. I woke up to this email, like art concept, like I forgot what it was. And then I saw that, but it was in black and white, the exact thing. And I looked at it.
Was it on purpose on black and white, or
it was just
a black and white image?
It was, actually no, that's not what happened. Okay, no. Okay, let me backtrack. It was a similar image by an artist named Zipsy. And I saw it, and then they just took her artwork, and then they put in like they changed it a little bit, and they added like the title to see what it could look like. And I saw it. I was like, it was like the prettiest thing I've ever seen. I was like, oh my god, am I dreaming? You know? And then I emailed back, and then I wrote, and there was just spelling errors in the email. I was like, oh my god. And then I had to send a follow up. Like, I'm so sorry for the spelling errors. And then I said, yes, this is what I wanted to look like. So we're all in agreement. And then they said we had this sitting. And we were waiting to reach, because it was a South Korean artist, and we had waited to be able to reach out to her and have her agree if she's even willing to do it. And I'm pretty sure she costs a lot of money. That's one of the questions I forgot to ask. I keep forgetting, like one day I'm going to ask them how much it costs. But yeah, so she agreed, so they sent it to me, and they said, what do you think? And I said, I absolutely love it, please do it. And then like a month or so later, I got the black and white one of it, like rendered, like the black and white. Like, how do you feel about this? I said yes. And then you get the colored version.
Yeah.
And then so
that's really interesting. Same question, but for the title, was it always called that?
Okay.
Did you get say in the title? That's another question we always get: is Yeah, the title.
I did not come up with this title. My agent came up with this title. And how it happened was this. I had a really bad title that I knew they were going to change.
What is it?
You
have to tell us, Dustin.
It's called Call Me in the Fields was the title. And then once I signed and we were on an email chain, like, oh my God, we're so happy to work together. And then my editor said, okay, first things first, the title has to go. And I said, yeah, I know. I know. I saw I saw it coming, right? I don't like it either. And then my agent, who's on the email chain, sends like, I have a couple ideas, and then she responds within seconds, so she already had it ready to go. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then I was reading, but okay, but you've reached Sam. Oh my God. Wait, I really like that. I was like, I think that's it. So I respond. I said, I like You've Reached Sam. And my editor is like, I like it too. And I said, and my editor, no, I think my editor wrote When Lightning Strikes because I like it too.
Yeah.
And we're all in agreement. Yeah. And then what happens was it was sent to marketing. And then marketing came back and says, it's not gonna work. Names aren't in. Names aren't in this like you know marketing, like they're about like they think they understand the trends, right? And then they're like, this is like what is 2019? Names aren't in, guys. It's not gonna work. Like, how about we agree on You've Reached? Like we thought about it. We come back with You've Reached Me, and I was like, I don't know. It has like the ring to it. And then I was like, okay, we'll just keep it for now. I guess it kind of works. And then so for the year, as I was revising it with my editor, because we kept it as You've Reached Me. That was the project. So it was a project called You've Reached Me. But in the back of my head, I was like, I'm gonna make them. Like, I don't know how much power I have, which was probably 0 at the time. But I'm gonna make them change it back to You've Reached Me, Sam. And then we go through a lot of revisions. And one of my biggest revisions was change, like having. I added probably like 15,000 words during the revision process of my editor. So like lots of things changed. And one of the biggest ones is like building the relationship between Sam and Julie. And in that time, I kind of like gave Sam more moments, right? And I kind of like gave him more character and more time to see him in order for us to like care more about him. And then when I set my final revision, my editor wrote back and says, she finished reading the book. And then she sent us email, I don't care what marketing says. It's called You've Reached Sam. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, it's not You've Reached Me. I don't care. I'm not even gonna ask. It's called You've Reached Sam. We're not even gonna ask for permission. And then so I was like, oh my God, yes, I don't do anything. And then so that's how we stuck with the name. And then marketing comes back and it was like, you guys are right.
Good.
Could you imagine if we listened to marketing?
No, that's You've Reached Me. What? Yeah. Okay. I want to know where you were when you found out you had a book deal. Because obviously, like, it had been a journey. You had written another book. Where exactly were you?
I was still at my grandma's house.
Grandma's seen a lot. Yes, that's the whole journey. That's really cute.
It was in California. I would live there after I graduated from undergrad. I took that year off because I was applying to grad school. We talked about this pretty recently. And I was like applying to grad school, and then I was like, I was like, let me just rewrite this book. You know, like, because I had to go back to school, because my brother was like, Dustin, this book thing isn't working out, go back to school. And then I was like, so I finished, and I said, so I applied to grad schools, and I wanted to do both at the same time. And then so I was like, living at my grandma's house, because I wasn't working. And then so it actually, my book deal came at the same time my acceptance letter to Northwestern's PhD program, and I did both.
Yeah.
And
Dustin is literally getting his PhD right now, as he's also.
I had to write a paper and I turned it in, guys. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's literally getting his PhD right now.
Yeah. My presentation's next month.
Yeah. Dustin's not sleeping, but yeah, you will never reach Dustin basically the next few months. Okay. Are we good on time? Do we have like a few?
Oh, we're doing audience questions. Okay.
Right now? Okay.
Yeah, we're doing audience questions. So just raise your hand and we will just pick on you. So yes. Can you use your name first?
My name's Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
So you guys talked about how you got a ton of rejections.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever consider self-publishing?
I'll answer that first because I've gotten that question a lot, and what I have to say is I started trying to get published when I was 12. Like, I truly was sending queries when I was 12, which like was dumb. I was never gonna get published at 12. Like, the books were really bad, but I truly thought I was going to. And back then, like, I'm 27 now, truly self-publishing was not a thing that it is now. Like, now there's so much accessibility, like there are programs, there are people you can hire, like there's like YouTube videos about it that did not exist. Like before it was like long ago enough that people were still querying with envelopes. Like people were sending their queries on envelopes. Like I went to Barnes and Noble and got a book called How like Guide to Literary Agents, and I was like in like the back, like a glossary, like highlighting. So because I started that long ago, it was never an option. I truly at 12 would not have been able to like hire like the people needed, and also like I just don't think it was successful. Obviously it was happening, but we didn't have like Amazon didn't have its programs and everything. It just was not a thing when I was 12. And then because I was so set on like truly I didn't even know anything about publishing beyond I need an agent. That was all I knew, to the point where when I got an agent I had no idea what being on submission was, because I was just like have to get an agent, and so I didn't know anything else. And so because I was so laser focused on that, and I always thought, oh, it's not this book, I'll write another one and I'll go, and it almost becomes addictive, like sending these emails to agents, because you get responses. And I was always like looking at my inbox like in the middle of school, like in the library, and being like, how many responses do I have? Like it almost became a cycle for me. So I never considered it. And it's not because I don't think it would have been a good avenue, it's because I got stuck in that system that started when I was 12. But I think like self-publishing, especially now, and I don't know a lot about it, but I do see like on TikTok and stuff, like people are like doing amazing things with it, especially now that you can build your own platform. Like it's so much easier. Not that it's not hard, but I'm just saying like there's like YouTube tutorials, like people will show you how to do it. And so I think it's a great path. Like it just depends on the person, and I truly don't believe like one is better than the other. It just depends on the person. And
I
like
also think it depends on. I think some genres work better with
books.
Self-publishing than others.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about the YA space and how self-publishing like lands in the sense of like how big do you want it to be. But I know like for example like romance does really well in self-publishing.
Yeah.
And so that's something you want to look into. Self-publishing is not something that I really consider, just because I didn't know much about it, and I knew that like I didn't have the capacity, because really you're your own publisher, you do everything, right? You do the marketing. You have to find a designer to create a cover, and you have to find your own editor, and also get find an editor that agrees with you and especially developmentally. And then you have to market it and sell it yourself. So there are definitely pros and cons to it. And they're both hard. I'm not saying like if you go into traditional, I'm also not saying like, oh, if you get a traditional publishing deal, you made it, because oftentimes they pay you. The reality is like this. Oftentimes, the reality, guys, if you break it down, it's less than minimum wage. Yeah. So it's kind of like tough. It's always think of it as like, if you think of it both as like extra money on top of like whatever job that you should not quit.
Yeah.
So that's like one way to look at it.
Yeah, and I also think like we've also like seen in book talk and stuff, there are so many amazing self-published authors who like their books exploded and now they got traditional publishing deals and everything. And I think like the likelihood is almost the same. Like so many books get traditionally published that you will never hear about because of various reasons. Like if Dustin's book like hadn't like found its audience, like, or if my book hadn't found my first two books, that's literally what happened to them. Like if many books just fall through the cracks. Even if they got the agent, they got the publishing deal, very few books a year actually like sell a lot. I think like literally the percentages are like 95% of books never sell more than like 1,000 copies. And that's
unless I deter you.
Yeah, no, don't like, just like, but to compare it to self-publishing, I think the odds are the same. Like, just because you self-publish doesn't mean it's gonna blow up, but you probably have similar odds than like your traditionally published book blowing up.
Also, another thing is like, even when you do, either way you publish, like traditionally, just because your first book didn't make a splash, doesn't mean like your next couple, because sometimes it takes a couple, like your first two book is not what Lightlark is.
No.
And then also like Adam Silvera.
Yeah.
Like his big book, like They Both Die at the End, was that his third? I think it was
so.
his third. And that blew up on Twitter, and then TikTok.
Yeah. I don't think one path is better than the other. I think like it's just different paths, and like ultimately like it's luck. So much of it is luck, hard work, and luck like mixed together.
Yeah. Oh, some more questions. In the back. Okay, what's your name?
Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi. So, Alex, now that you have the movie in
Yeah.
pre-production, who would you fan cast, or have you seen fan cast that you really like for the characters?
thank you, thank you for coming. I have been asked that a lot, and I actually like truthfully don't have any fan cast because I never like envisioned a specific person when I was writing it. And I think I was just like protecting myself. Like, why would I envision this person if like when is a movie gonna come? Like, I just really never thought that would happen. And now that like we do have the movie deal, I have seen like casting stuff, not from me, but from the production company, and I trust them a lot because I don't know what I'm doing for that. Like, that's not what I do. And so I think it's important that if you're like selling rights like that, it's not just about selling it to sell it, but like you have to really trust the people because I'm an executive producer and that gives me more control, but it's also like ultimately going to be the studio and the production company's decision. So I don't have any like fan cast because I'm protecting myself emotionally. Like, I think if I really was like, this is Isla, like I would not sleep at night, like just texting like photos of the person's like the production person. But I have seen images, and I like every time I get another one, I'm like, yes. And I will say that it's mostly the people that I've seen are people that are not like huge stars, that like it's not like Zendaya, it's like someone that they're hoping would be known for this, like, which I really like. I think that that's really cool. But yeah, and then
Well, for me, I do love the idea of like a brand, because my character is so young. I do love the idea of a brand new cast and fresh faces that kind of like blow up, the mood blows up in the way that like, you know, to all the boys I love. What's her name again?
Lana Conda.
Yeah.
oh, I thought you
Yeah,
meant
kind of like
Summer Artistic.
yeah, someone, maybe also her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so the
great.
opportunity, just the opportunity of new faces, like you know. But if just because I watched Stranger Things, maybe Julie, I feel like Millie Bobby Brown, that could work. You know, because she has that edge. She has that edge. You know, people, oh, Julie's mean, right? And then like Millie Bobby Brown has that cool edge too. So, like,
Yeah.
and she's also young. She's like 18, right?
Let's put that out in the universe. Really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next question. Let's do. Right. Yeah. What's your name?
I'm Madeline.
I know.
So I've already read the book. It was amazing, and there are obviously so many plot twists. Was there ever a point when you were like, I don't know if this plot twist could work, or like you were missing something?
Yeah, I mean, it was a hard book to write because it was the first one I ever did an outline for because I knew I wanted these plot twists, and I didn't want plot twists that if you I've read books before, I've seen movies where you get the plot twist and you're like, this makes no sense. Like, if I reread it, it just won't make sense. I know that. It's kind of like the hints are like just for shock value, they actually don't add up. And I didn't want that. I wanted whatever the plot twist is for you to immediately be able to reread it and be like, I get it now, like this all makes sense. And so I had to write an outline, which like I did not want to write. I think it sucks the like soul out of your writing, but it does not because it makes sure you actually like write a plot. So I am now always going to write an outline, and I wrote an outline for this, and there were every single plot twist, every single, like, all of the characters have secrets, all of them are lying to each other, to themselves, and like I had to like kind of plot what is the truth, what do they think the truth is, what is the truth at the end of the book compared to the beginning. And so that was really tough, just tying all the threads together. And I will say, I will say that I would hit like these big like moments where I was like, I don't know what to do. And I just take time away, and then you come back, and suddenly you have an idea, and you just keep going. But I'm glad you read it. Yeah, thank you so much. How about you?
Question over here.
Oh.
Yes.
Hi, so my question was, how was the process like getting your book into the producers or the production company's hands?
Yeah.
And if you had anyone in mind already for a screenwriter for the film adaptation?
Oh, okay. So it can happen in various ways, and like we talked about this. It can happen in various different ways, and like I had not really heard of the way it happened to me. So basically, like I have my other series on Blum Island, and once you get an agent, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, I'll introduce you to your film agent. So just like you have a foreign rights agent, you get a film agent. And so I had gotten my film agents for my other series, and the rights hadn't sold or anything, but they were my agents, they were representing me. And so once this did sell, I sent Lightlark to them, and I was like, hey, like, would you also be interested in representing this? Like, I had a new agent and stuff, so I was like I didn't know if they were going to be interested, but they read it and they're like, yeah, we love it. And so initially it was so long before it was supposed to be published that we were like, maybe we'll like send it out now. And so like we made edits and stuff, but the editing process is so long and the book is like totally different at the end, so we decided to wait to like submit it. So my agents like did nothing for it like while we were editing. And then at the very beginning of this year we had like a close to final copy, and so I think it had been floating around different places and people read it and like people were kind of interested, and I had calls with some people, but it really didn't feel like a match, and it wasn't something so exciting that I just wanted to sell it. And so I said, let's wait. And so our plan at the beginning of this year was to wait until the book comes out, because it gives you just more leverage to be like, oh, the book did well, you know, but it's also a risk because if it doesn't do well, like you're in a bad position. So we were totally set on that. We were not submitting Lightlark anywhere. If anything, I was taking a lot of film and TV meetings for my other series. Like this was just not on the radar. And then one day, like I get an email from my agent and it's like, oh, this person from Temple Hill, the production company, they asked for your book. They like saw it on TikTok, like they heard about it, and they asked to read it. And I was like, okay. And they actually sent the wrong version of the book, like the original version, like the first draft, like that they sent it to them, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I got on a call with them, and they were asking me questions, and that's when I realized they had the wrong version. So I was like, what? Like, why do I even have an agent? Like, yeah. So I was like, let me send you the real one. But I was like, this person just read like a rough draft,
Yeah.
like. And so I was like kind of frustrated, but I was like, here, you, like, I'll send it to you. And she read it, like she read the other version of it. And she really liked it. And so we had another call, and she was like, I can see what you did. I love the improvements, like things that I didn't really agree with before, like you fixed it. And then it was just like silence. And that happens a lot with this, like every step of this journey, you think, oh my gosh, something, and then it doesn't. So you really learn to not get your hopes up, right? Like, and so I heard that she liked it. And then a few weeks went by with nothing. And then I heard that like she had given it to other people at the production company, and they really liked it. And so I was like, cool, but like doesn't really do anything, you know? And then I got an email from my agent, and it was like, Temple Hill really wants to work with you on this. And so I got on a Zoom call with like all like the executives there, and they were like, we love it, we want to like be attached. Meaning like I didn't sell the rights to them, but they wanted to like join the package. And so then I understood, I said, yes, like I'll work with you. And I understood from that point we would together be trying to go get a movie deal. And so I was like in the dark. I did not know how this worked because I had never reached this point before. And I knew that they were submitting it to studios. Like I didn't know who, I didn't know when. And then one day I got a call and they were like, Universal loves it. They want to make an offer. Like, and that's when I filmed that like embarrassing video that I posted on TikTok of me like literally gasping because I was like, what? I was like alone, no one was there. I called every single person in my family, no one that always happens when you have news. Not one person. So I went to the bathroom and filled myself literally like, are you like joking, like gasping for air? And so all I knew was like they were interested. I didn't know what the offer was or anything, but I was like, are you joking? Like Universal wants to make my book into a movie? Like it's literally not even out yet. And so they, the people there read it, like all the executives and stuff, they read it, they really loved it. And then there was silence again. And I truly, he knows, because like I tell him everything, no one knew. I didn't tell anyone, because I was like, this is not.
I knew before Chloe.
Yeah, he did know before Chloe. But I didn't tell anyone because truly, I heard nothing for weeks, and I thought they changed their mind. Like, they don't want it. Like, I was used to this, like getting my hopes up, and it just falls through. So I didn't tell anyone, except for my family that did eventually pick up, like, a long time later. Like, after, like, my tears were gone and stuff, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, like, moving on. And so then it was about a month later, and I got a call, and it was like, is this, like, Alex Aster? I'm like, yeah. And it was like, this is, like, for, like, blah, 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 in Beverly Hills. Like, are you free to take a call? I'm like, yeah. And so they connected me into this conference call. No warning. I was busy. Like, they didn't tell me, like, oh, we're going to call you in this special conference call. They just called me. Like, I happened to see my phone. I was like, hello. And my, like, little cousins were screaming inside, so I, like, had to go outside. And I was like, hello. And it was my entertainment lawyer, who I got after my first book deal. And that's actually, like, a great member of your team to have. An entertainment lawyer, my 2 agents at CAA, who are my film agents, and another lawyer from the firm that, like, did more of these deals. And they were like, we got the offer from Universal. And it was like, I literally screamed, like, at the top of my lungs, like, when I heard everything. It was the most surreal moment of my life. Like, it truly was. And even then, they didn't offer me executive producer. Like they really, really wanted it. They bought it in a preempt, meaning like they wanted to take it off the table. They didn't want it to go to auction. And then my agents like went back and they're like, nope, like we're gonna ask for more and everything. I'm like, what? Like how could we like? But they truly at that point, for my own like sanity, I had to take a step back. So I was like, I would literally take it at this moment. But they are business people and they're the ones like that's why you're giving them a percentage of your income. Like they go and do it. And then the next round I got executive producer. The next round I got more creative like control. The next round like it was multiple rounds of negotiations. And that was over months. Like it doesn't happen quickly. Like, and then they let one of the big things that I said like for the deal is I want to be able to announce it as soon as possible because I wanted to be able to share it on TikTok. Like I felt like I had shared every single thing for this book. Like how could I be sitting on a movie deal and like not tell anyone? And so they let me announce it at Comic-Con. And like we like leaked the information to the Hollywood Reporter, which like happened. Yeah.
I was literally just like, just do it.
Yeah,
What are they gonna do?
Dustin like deleted it, but he like posted stuff on his story that like I was not legally allowed to say about the deal. There are certain things that
I get a text. Dustin, do you think it's I'm really scared.
Yeah, I was scared that like Universal's gonna call and be like, bye. Like, yeah, Dustin did not care. But there are certain, it's frustrating, but you also understand, like, there are lots of movie deals that I know about. Like, your favorite books are being turned into movies, and I know about them because I asked the producers, and they're producing them, they're not allowed to say anything. And so I really wanted to be able to say it, and like, but there are certain words and things I literally am not allowed to say, which gets really frustrating because I try to share everything. So yeah, that was like the most surreal thing in my life. That is literally exactly how it happened, and I'm like, it's a shock to me too. Like I'm the one who's most shocked out of anyone that this happened, and it does happen. Like, but I just did not think it was gonna happen for me.
I think are we out of time? We have 1 more minute? We have 1 more question? Okay, cool. You in the further back.
Green?
Gray mask?
Yeah. Just have her raise
The
her hand.
pink? Here.
Okay. How do you get the ideas for your books?
What, you don't know? Okay, I'll answer if you like. How do I get ideas? I read a lot. Like, I think, like, and I read in a lot of genres. Like, for the plot twist, like, I really like thrillers. So I love, like, the murder mysteries, like Gone Girl and stuff. Like, A Ton of Friends, like, one of my favorite authors. I love those types of books. And so I read widely. Like, I read poetry. I read anything, and I just get inspiration from that. And then I also, like, you have to let your mind ask questions. Like, if you're in a museum, like, what if, like, the paintings came alive at night? Like, what if this? Like, you have to let your mind go weird places, because truly every, like, bit of inspiration comes from a question, and then another question, and then another, and then it turns into, like, a kernel of an idea, and it just sits in the back of your mind, and then, like, you're starting, like, to jot notes down in your notes app, and you're like, what if it was this, and what if it was that, and then you're on Pinterest, and you're, like, creating the mood board for the dresses for, like, Isla, like, in what, and so it just starts with a little tiny question that gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you read Save the Cat and you learn how to plot a book, and that's where my ideas come from.
I think people ask me a lot about like the idea of Sam, and I don't exactly know like the moment I came up with it, but like I do remember that I held it for a very long time, like in my teen years, because I feel like a lot of us writers, we have like little ideas, right, that we think are really good. And then we hold on to them, and we don't know which ones we want to write or start. And then you do learn through reading and like through film, and then like those little ideas eventually they spark and they change, and then they kind of like evolve. And I do remember for me one of the moments that inspired, pushed me to like, oh my god, like that made me think back to this idea that I had about the phone call was as actually I was watching The Fault in Our Stars. It was like the very ending, when Augustus passes away. I'm sure we all seen this. It's not a spoiler. So he passes away, and then like our main character, was it Hazel Grace? She like goes to his house, and then she is obviously devastated, and she's alone. And she climbs into his bed, and she lays there, and she takes up the phone, and then she calls him like she always does, and then of course he never answers. I remember just watching it, obviously sad, and it's like, God, I wish it just picked up. And then I was like, that reminds me of like this idea that I had. And then I sat on it, and then that was like one of the first like moments that really forced me to think and like sit down and like continue the idea. And then that's like the moments of inspiration that you have, and that was one for me.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
for
So.
that.
There's a